Hello teachers, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit more about your LinkedIn profile. You worked on the major content sections of this profile around week 3, specifically with your headline and your summary, but there's some other features that I want to share with you that might help you build out your LinkedIn profile. I'm also going to give you some tips on how to revise your summary and your headline based on some analysis of trends of natural language processing, the words that people are commonly using to define your field or to describe it. I'm going to show you how to identify some of those words and then integrate them into your LinkedIn profile so that you show up in more searches or you show up at a higher rank within those searches. So I'm going to go into LinkedIn here. And there's a couple things that I want to talk to you about just in terms of your profile. I'm going to go ahead and click on my profile here. And there's some considerations that I want you to think about as you're working on your profile. First of all, we've got your current jobs up here. You've got your education up in here. You've got some good analytics here. One of the things that I recommend is as you make incremental changes to your LinkedIn profile, track how many views that you're getting. That's going to actually be a good measure of how effective some of the changes that you are making are doing. You see here that LinkedIn gives you some tips on things that you can do. Let's get in here and look at some of your experience. One of the things that I've emphasized with your LinkedIn profile is that it's not copy and paste from your resume. LinkedIn uses what's called natural language processing, which is essentially what it means is you're just writing as you would normally speak to somebody. So in a resume, you're going to use fragments, you're going to use imperative mood or verbs. You have limited amount of space. LinkedIn is going to be much more narrative, and it's actually important that you adhere to those stylistic guidelines because, again, your first point of contact with LinkedIn is an algorithm. It's an algorithm that is looking for keywords that are clustered together, and that is going to impact where you get viewed. So you can see here that in my descriptions of the many hats that I have worn over the years, I've got a variety of different things in here. Note too, this is an attempt to include quantification, all of the things that we've talked about. So when I was director of grad studies, I facilitated a 26.6 increase in enrollment. Use those persuasive show details. Make sure that you have your education linked out. And then I'm going to stop here and I'm going to talk real briefly about skills and endorsements. You may see this when you log into LinkedIn, and it'll show you 5 people who are in your network and say, is so-and-so good at technical writing? And you either click yes or no. And in turn, you show up in other people's profiles. And so you can see here that I've been endorsed in technical writing, in editing, in teaching, and then I have a whole bunch of other things here as well. So endorsements are important in that they continue to bring activity to your page, which cues into LinkedIn that maybe they need to show you in more searches. But let me take a moment to talk to you also about the legality aspect of skills and endorsements. Let's say, for example, Joe Schmo is somebody in your network and you've endorsed him for technical writing along with 50 other people. Well, let's say that Joe Schmo gets fired from the job that he's currently at as a technical writer because of incompetency. Joe can actually sue his employer and use the skills and endorsements that you gave him on LinkedIn as evidence that he in fact is not incompetent and that he knows technical writing. And people have actually been called to testify in employment cases on behalf of these individuals. And you can be asked, Why did you endorse this person for these specific skills? So it's a little deceptive where LinkedIn just shows 5 people and kind of asks you to click yes or no. But you should understand that you should be careful about who you choose to endorse. And I think you should use the endorsements. I think you need to include skills on your profile because that helps create activity on your page. But you need to recognize that what LinkedIn makes easy with its interface actually has some actual repercussions on that. So just kind of a little short pit stop there as we move through here. Recommendations are also becoming a big thing on LinkedIn. This is essentially a public global letter of recommendation that you can ask people to do. I've not asked for recommendations because I'm not looking for a job. So these are more for people who are maybe new, are changing careers, but you can add these things as well. And again, these letters get captured by the web crawlers. They go into search terms, and so all of that stuff can work to your benefit. And then again here, it's important that you have interests marked in as well. LinkedIn is very similar to Facebook, that every time you like something or join a group, it gets captured on your profile. LinkedIn uses that, quite frankly, to market to you, but they also use that to include you into searches. So that's just kind of an overview of some of the major sections of LinkedIn and why it's really important to build out all of those sections, because if you're using the LinkedIn algorithm, all of that stuff is going to get picked up. There's a couple other things that I want to show you that may not be intuitive to you. You can actually create a custom LinkedIn URL, and I'm in my profile right now, so I just clicked Me, View Profile, and then I'm on this page. And you'll see that there's a link here called Edit Public Profile and URL. If you click that, you can actually customize your URL. And so I'm linkedin.com/in RK Betker. If you don't do that, LinkedIn is going to give you a really lengthy URL that doesn't look pretty on a resume. This will also ensure that everyone immediately goes to your page. And here you can actually edit what public profile looks like in terms of what information is on there. So just keep those things in mind, but I would definitely go and customize your URL just for simplicity's sake. Okay, so that's some stuff with LinkedIn. The next thing that I'm going to show you within LinkedIn is the very powerful advanced search. So remember, I talked to you about advanced Google search last week when I was talking about how to find syllabi. You can also use the advanced search in LinkedIn, and all I did was click within the search here, and then I clicked the question mark, and you see that you have a whole bunch of stuff here. Now, when prospective employers are looking for stuff, they're going to actually start searching by filters like Dallas, Fort Worth. They're also going to be looking at things within their connections. So let me talk to you briefly what I mean about that. People who are connected first means those are people that are in your network or who are in that hiring manager's network. People who are second are networked with one of your other contacts, but you're not directly connected with them. This becomes really important, A, because LinkedIn is a networking site. It's not a social media site designed to show pictures of, your kid at a picnic. It's a networking site for businesses. And I can tell you that if you're connected with somebody that a hiring manager is also connected to, your credibility actually goes up, because if you're looking kind of cold calling, looking for people to hire, you're going to be more comfortable looking or contacting somebody who's tangentially related to your professional network than somebody who isn't. So people can actually search within their network when they're looking for things as well. And they can also search specifically for companies. So if there are companies that you like or companies that you want to avoid, you can do that as well. So I'll just pick UNT for simplicity's sake. And you can see here that I got a number 4 here because I've put 4 different levels of filters on there. And then you can begin to go through your network and potentially identify people that you're not connected with that you might want to be. These are a lot of UNT administrators that I'm not networked with. on purpose, so I don't need to add them there. But they do tell you who your shared connections are and whatnot. Okay. You'll also notice here that you can search by people. You can also search by jobs. So this is really important when you're setting up your LinkedIn profile because you need to figure out the keywords that people are using when they're hiring. So for example, if I search jobs up here, I'm going to type in technical writer. And you can see here I get 4,216 results. Now I can actually drill down on that and look stuff within the past 24 hours. You can see there are 93 jobs. There's a variety of LinkedIn features. I can look specifically for things in my network. I can look by companies, all right? But this is helpful for me because if I'm crafting my LinkedIn summary that I know is based off of natural language processing and has a type of LinkedIn algorithm, I know that if people type in technical writing, good chances that I'm going to be in a pool where I'm going to come up somewhere. So I might want to enhance what I talk about in terms of my technical writing skills within my LinkedIn profile. To show you a contrast, let me type in technical communicator. And you can see that there's 3,000. So there's actually less hits. And so the reason that that's important is because you know that technical writer is going to be the more common term to use. And if the goal is to get traffic onto your page, you know, one of the things that you might need to consider is calling yourself a technical writer. So playing around with different search engines to see how many hits you're getting for a specific term can help you when you're editing this LinkedIn summary and headline. So we're going to move out of LinkedIn right now, and very quickly I'm going to show you Google Trends. So remember again, last week I showed you advanced Google searching. Google Trends is essentially another algorithm that is sending spiders out there and capturing all of the terms and topics that people are talking about and publishing on the internet. And so you can actually see that Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian are trending. And not only can you check that, but you can see where Kim Kardashian is more popular, whereas Taylor Swift is apparently East Coast, which I don't know, that would surprise me. American football is a common term that's used in everywhere except basically California. They prefer to use football. So the reason that I'm showing you this is because you might want a job in California. So therefore, you might want to create a LinkedIn profile that uses the words and the terms and the phrases that are more regional to where you want to go. So again, I'm going to do here what I did over in the LinkedIn thing. I'm going to just type in technical writer, and you can actually get it as an occupation here. And Google's going to do its magical thing and is going to give you how interest in the word technical writer has trended over time. And you can see we start back here in July of 2017, and we go all the way up into May. And you can say pretty standard. It's kind of been trending. You can also see, okay, where it's more popular. You can see that in Texas, there's been an interest of 50 people, California, 67. We also see up here in the East Coast, or the West Coast. So you've got those areas as well. You can see things that are related. So again, they give you some good op metrics here that you can actually use to beef up the keywords you use in your LinkedIn profile. Now, Google Trends has a really nice feature called Compare. So let's say you're deciding between whether to call yourself a technical communicator or a technical editor, all right? I'm going to type in technical editor here. And so in red, technical editor is going to come up, and you can see that that term is used way less than technical writer. So again, if we're trying to get traffic to our LinkedIn profile, we probably want to use the phrase or the word that's going to generate the most traction. Okay, we can go over here to technical editor, and we see that it's used actually so little that it's actually not very specific to a specific region. Right? And again, if we wanted to, we could drill down here. We could go to metro to city. And if I wanted to continue to add to this and type in technical communicator, you can see that that's actually used very much less. And again, it doesn't seem specific. So unfortunately, and I say this because technical writing is kind of an antiquated term, that is the term that's being used most often. And so, if my goal was to get a job and to drive people to my LinkedIn profile, I probably would want to include the word technical writer in that order. Now, I could say I'm a technical writer and communicator to kind of make myself feel better about what I'm calling myself. But again, this is a really helpful thing for you all to use. And so, I encourage you to play around with these Google Trends and to look at some of these advanced Google searches when you're rewriting your LinkedIn profile summary and headline. And again, make sure that you, when you make those changes, that you mark these metrics because that's going to tell you, because the more often you appear in a search engine, in theory, the more hits and more people are going to be looking at your profile.